Hello YouTube, this is part 3 of my review of the RX480 8GB by MSI. This particular one is the Gaming X Edition. Starting out with the basic Radeon settings, we have this stuff. You have your game-specific settings. I've really only been using global though. You have your usual stuff, but I mostly use in-game settings, not driver overrides. Well, the more interesting part is actually this Wattman feature. This is the built-in tool for overclocking and setting fan speeds. It has all sorts of things. Frequencies, voltages, fan speeds, just all sorts of stuff. And it has some pretty good monitoring here. So you can see your activity, your temperatures, fan speeds, clocks, everything. But not terribly interesting unless you're into overclocking, which I'm not. It has some video options so you can adjust your monitor colors. You can't see that, I don't think, on your screen, but I can on mine. We have Relive, which is their equivalent of NVIDIA's Shadow Play. So you can record, stream, do whatever. In theory. The problem I ran into is I could not actually record DCS or BoS. Apparently they're not supported by Radeon Relive. And so the only way I could actually start the recording is to minimize those, hit the hotkeys, and then reopen it. And when I did that, it would still display the menu bar down here at the bottom. So it just sucked. I ended up not using it for that reason, which is a little bit disappointing because NVIDIA with the GTX 770, I just always use Shadow Play for all my recordings, and it worked great. But as said, Relive here kind of sucks. Moving on, we have some display options. You can change your colors. And then finally, we have some system information so you can see all my shit. I hope you like my dirty laundry. Moving on, we have the MSI specific stuff. This right here is the main thing. The overclock has 3 modes. This is factory overclock. We have silent mode, which is reference design, I think. Gaming mode, which adds like 50 megahertz or something. And an overclock mode, which is what I used for DCS and BoS. And this bumps it up to a 1316 core clock, I think. And again, it doesn't matter. It's a decent factory overclock. Here we have installed latest VGA drivers. That's not going to happen. We have some things that will adjust the monitor colors, which I don't believe you can see, but it's there. Trust me, it changed it for me. The card does have some LED lighting on it with lots of effects. I use a generic black box metal case, so I can't see squat except out through a little fan that's on it. So I don't bother with that stuff, but if you have an open or clear design, it does actually look pretty nice. Finally, we have some display stuff that you can, some over-screen display stuff. We have an FPS counter, GPU fan, frequency. You saw all that stuff except for the FPS and voltages, and the videos are recorded. It's quite helpful for monitoring the card in-game. We have Zero Frozer. I have absolutely no idea what that is. And then finally we have Cooler Boost, which will just crash the temperature of the card by running both the fans on it up to their absolute maximum for like 10 seconds. You saw in DCS it was kind of hovering around 72, 73 C under peak load, but if I hit this button it'll dump it right below 60 in, seconds. However, it does sound like a jet engine when you do that, and at the 1100 or so RPMs it normally idles at in-game under heavy load, it's dead silent. It doesn't make any noise. So as long as you don't hit that button or manually set the fan speeds to 100%, this card is dead silent, even with an open case, which I did test earlier when I was initially putting it in. We do have some options here. There, nothing interesting there. Info button, yeah. That's about it for that. The main thing is these 3 buttons and the LEDs and stuff, if you're into that. Finally, we have MSI's own internal overclocking tool. This will overwrite the Radeon stuff I showed you at the beginning. It has far more detailed monitoring. It shows just everything you could possibly want to know: your GPU usage, core clock, memory VRAM usage, page file, frame rate, frame times. It even shows CPU stuff, both temperature and usage, and as you can see, it does work, as well as regular RAM usage. So that's pretty handy. I really like that feature. I'm glad they added it. Over here we have our Overclock Overrides, which, as said, I'm not a big fan of overclocking, so I don't use those. And then we just have a million options in here. This right here, all this stuff is what controls this window here. I haven't messed with that. This right here is what I use instead of Relive to record all the videos I'm just posted. It did take a few FPS off the top, but for the most part, it ran pretty smooth. It's not quite as good as NVIDIA's Shadow Play, but it's not bad. The only issue I have with it, and this may simply be a setting I'm using, is the videos I recorded are just massive. Even here at 50% quality, those 4 or 5 minute videos are 800, 900 megabytes. I'm sure this video is going to end up being over a gigabyte before I compress it. So that's a little bit annoying, but but as I said, that may just be a setting. I may be able to change it. I don't know. Wonder if I can change it while I'm recording. Probably not. But yeah, lots of stuff here. MSI has added quite a bit of stuff. I will say that the reference design of the 480 has been known to have a lot of thermal issues. The stock fan on it just is not sufficient to keep it cool, so they do tend to hit thermal throttling, or at least they did when they were first released. This one is rock solid though. It does not thermal throttle as far as I can tell. Even under the heaviest loads, it stayed around the low 70s, and it had lots of fan speed left to cool it off if needed. So I didn't encounter any thermal throttling. At the fan speeds it ran at, it was dead silent, even under the heaviest loads. So this is an excellent card with an excellent cooling solution on it. If you do want to get a 480, I highly recommend this specific model. There are some others that are pretty decent. I've heard good things about the XFX one, but I don't have it, so I can't test it. And yeah, I think that's about it. This is a good card. It's first rate for $250. It's exactly what you expect. And if you're playing DCS, BoS, Rise of Flight, War Thunder, any of the usual games our crowd plays, I think you'll be very satisfied with its performance. I do have some non-simulation type games up here too. You can see. I have played these three a little bit, not much. Maybe like 20 minutes each since I installed the card, and both of them are just rock solid above 60 at absolute max detail. I couldn't get them to go below 60 no matter what I did. I haven't tried The Last Light yet or Wolfenstein, but I don't expect those will be any different. So yeah, great card. Highly recommend it. For the 250 mark, if you're looking for something more, get a 1070 or 1080. But at 250 mark, this is a good option. Thanks for watching, and hope that was helpful.